Hey guys, welcome to the program. I'm Sergio Guerrero here for Neutral Corner MMA, and today I'm talking to Aalon Cruz. Aalon, man, what a spectacular win you had at the Contender Series a couple weeks ago. I want to say congratulations first off. And how are you feeling, man? How are you feeling now that the process is all over with?
Yeah, man. Thank you again. Man, I feel great. It's a little, still kind of surreal. I don't think it's really kicked in, even though it's been over a week since the fight. Probably once I get back in the gym and I'm able to start getting ready for my next fight, it'll really kick in. But for now, I'm just trying to embrace all the love from everybody and the support, and
Nice.
things are going well.
Nice. That was a kind of a perfect segue to my next question. It was just going to be what was the response of everybody, your family, your friends, all your coworkers, everybody you've trained with. What are some of the things that they've told you? How have you been inspired by these people?
Yeah, man. So it's funny you kind of bring that up is that like, I get so many messages from, people that I train with or just, people from around the world, different countries that, they're inspired by my win, which is
Right.
pretty crazy to me. But they're inspired to, I guess, to see like where I've come from and, how I was able to succeed and get into the UFC. And then I guess it hypes them up more. So me hearing them get hyped up about my win hypes me up even more to get ready and get in the cage and make my UFC debut. So everybody's been supporting me, especially at work. I go back to work and everybody's, congratulations. They all want to see me succeed. And like I said, it just makes me more motivated to do well.
And do you have was there a specific situation or a moment in time where you felt that way about a specific fighter that you were training with or a coworker or anything of that nature?
Oh yeah, man. Pretty much most of my teammates. They're not all still part of the team, but like one of my teammates, Gian Herrera, he was in the
Hmm.
UFC, and when he made it, it was like you always think of you're gonna make it to the UFC and you're gonna try to get there, but when your teammate makes it, then it's like okay, it's real, like it's actually possible to do it.
Right.
So when he made it in, that was a huge motivation for me to continue doing what I'm doing, follow the path that I'm on, even if it's been taking a little longer than I thought it would be,
Right.
but to stay the path, keep going, and eventually you'll make it. And finally, I made it to the UFC, so I will be making my debut. And luckily, I'll be 30 by the time I make my debut, but I got signed to the UFC before 30.
Nice. Hey, that's a good milestone to have, you know.
Yeah.
And I know that you said at a young age that you've actually wanted to be in the UFC, and that's something that you've aspired to do in some point in your life. But now that you are an official UFC fighter, that the contract's over with, would you be able to give us any type of details regarding your contract?
um, it's a four fight deal.
Okay.
Um, Obviously, you know that you could lose two and they could cut you at any time.
At any given moment.
Right. So it's a four fight deal, and as far as anything else goes, I mean, it's just basic. It's just a basic contract. I'm not gonna be making any more than anybody else's.
Right.
Starting base, and it's. I mean, there's really not a lot to it. I mean, it's funny because it's like a 23-page contract, but it's really not. It's just like photo release stuff.
Gotcha.
They use your video, your Instagram, everything they kind of own. But other than
Gotcha.
that, that's just basic. Know it all stuff.
And the knockout that you had on the Contender Series, man, were you surprised yourself, or was this something that you were you practicing? Obviously, the fight was a close fight. Third round
Yeah.
was your round, obviously. But again, were you surprised? Did you know that you are capable of this? And have you ever had a knockout like this? Have you ever had a moment like this in your career?
Man, so I've never knocked anybody out in the cage. I mean, obviously there's, some training sessions, you catch people, but it's whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, that's the first time I've ever actually knocked anybody out in a fight. Now I've come close. I've definitely rocked people and, hurt them really bad. I've had TKOs, but never just, cleanly knocked somebody out. And I always knew that I could do it. Um, but it just never happened or happened perfectly in the fight that the way it played out there, it looks great and looks like maybe I kill people like that all the time,
Right.
but I really don't. I mean, so it was just great to have that one, at least to have knocked somebody out for the first time, and have it on my record, as a legit knockout,
Hmm.
as just like a TKO or something.
And there's no other greater way to enter the UFC than with a flying knee knockout.
Yeah.
It really puts your mark on, you put your stamp on the map. But regarding the Contender series, Dana White looked right at you after you knocked him out, did the check mark. In that in that very moment, what was going through your head? How many things were running through it at that very moment?
Man, I don't think I was really thinking anything
Right.
because it's funny because like a lot of my friends were watching the fight and they thought that he just did that to me and that they didn't realize I actually did it to him first.
Right.
I turned and like I said, it didn't even seem like it was me in the cage. Like when I have the memory in my head, I can see it from my perspective, giving him the sign, him looking back, giving me the sign back. But, when I watch the fight again, it just seems like a completely different person because I didn't plan to do that. Um, I don't even think I was really thinking anything. I think after I knocked him out, I turned and then I just started doing this. And then he was like, yeah. And then after that, I was like, wow. I was like, I'm in. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even have to like be like the rest of the fighters. They're all on pins and needles, not knowing whether they're going to sign or not. I already knew. So like when I was sitting in the chairs and he's like, naming everybody he's signing,
Right.
that's probably why I was so happy the whole time. I was I was so happy because I already knew I was getting signed. I just had to wait for him to go down the line and say, "All right, Aalon Cruz, like you're in."
Yeah. You were Mr. Cool sitting on that chair,
I was having a
huh?
blast. I was having a blast.
Awesome, man. Well, that's what it's about. It's about having fun. I've heard you talk about your wrestling in other interviews, and you said that you think wrestling is harder than MMA in some cases. I'm sure the wrestlers who've made that transition into MMA felt that exact same thing. But what was there a specific fighter that you saw growing up that inspired you to make a switch to MMA, or was there a specific wrestler that transitioned that inspired you to do what you're doing now?
Man, so the number one thing that made me, well, I don't know if it really made me want to do fighting because I didn't, even when I was training at 16, I didn't really even want to fight really until, uh, so my coach had told me, he was like, yo, he's like, you should, this is when I'm 18 years old. I graduated from high school and I was going to HTC.
Mm,
And he told me, he's like, you should just quit school and go pro. Because the thing is, like in Florida, there was no amateurs at the time. So you could
right.
only go pro. And I was a blue belt. And I told him, look, I'm not gonna go pro unless I'm a purple belt, or I'll do amateur fights if you can find them for me as a blue belt. So he ended up finding me an amateur fight at age 20, and he gave me 5 weeks notice. He was like, hey, do you want to fight? There's a fight in Tennessee, and I was like, sure. But to bring it back, the first fight I ever saw that made me just want to start training and learning jiu-jitsu and kickboxing was Tito Ortiz versus Ken Shamrock. I saw that fight and I remember I had downloaded the video, illegally streamed it uh, through like Kazaa or something like that. And it was like a 45-minute video. It was just that one fight. So it was a pay-per-view. So I saw the build up, Tito's talking trash to Ken.
Right,
They
right.
hate each other the whole time. And then Tito comes out and Tito's just, vicious. He comes out in the beginning throwing punches, clinching everything. And, he ends up TKOing Ken Shamrock. And then after the fight, they were hugging it out. They were hugging it out. They
Right.
were like each other respect. And I'm pretty sure the first time I saw that, I teared up because I thought this was like the craziest sport that they hated each other. They were beating each other up. And now they're respecting each other and they're giving each other props. And it
Right.
just blew my mind. Like it made me so emotional. And I was like, man, this might be like the greatest sport in the world. That was literally what my first thought was. And that's why I wanted to start training.
Nice, man. It's very inspirational. That was actually one of the fights that I saw growing up that made me enjoy the sport of MMA and really just, love it with a passion. But that's awesome to hear, And I saw back in your Instagram, of course, I saw back in March you were training at Law MMA. And man, you were with Aljamain Sterling at Raging Ally Kunta. What was that like? Did you get a chance to train with him? Did you get a chance to talk with him? If you can, talk to us about that, that would be great.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of showed up at kind of a wrong time. Not really like a wrong time. I was up there to help my friend Matt Steamroller Favola. He was getting ready to
Okay.
fight Jalen Turner. So I went up there to help him. I stayed with him for the week, and then I just went to train with him. Everything he did, I did. And Aljamain had actually he was in Hawaii training with Max Holloway for most of the time that I was there. He only came back like a day or two before I had to leave, so he wasn't really training. And then Al Iaquinta he just got the Cowboy fight like
Right.
the day before I was about to leave, and so he was already he was sparring in the cage, with this tall dude. Obviously he was trying to get ready for Cowboy, so I didn't really get to actually train with them. I
Mm.
briefly got to speak with them, not anything too like in depth or whatnot, but just talking to them and like seeing how cool of people they were. Even though like in my mind I'm a big like fan of theirs. Like I was trying not to be like that weird fan that's like wanted to come
Right.
up and talk to him for like 10 minutes, but luckily for Vola, he kind of like forced me into it. He's like, a lot of good talk to you. So, here, this is Aljamain, whatever. So I was talking to him. And like I said, they're both super cool. So it was one of those things where like you meet some of your idols or people that you like admire, and
Right.
they turn out to be cool people. Because I've definitely run into people that like, I've looked up to as far as like sports athletes or whatever the case may be. And, they weren't like the coolest people. They weren't very nice. You know what I mean? So
Right.
just to know that those two are cool, and then I have a place to go as well. I can go up there anytime and go train. It just felt like they were so opening and welcoming. So I had a blast up there, and I'm definitely gonna go back pretty soon.
Okay, and that was kind of perfect for my next question. Is there any guys that you would love to train with? Any guys that you aspire to train with?
Man, I mean, my champ, Max Holloway.
Nice.
Eventually I want to fight him one day, but I would definitely love to train with Max.
Right.
Probably Anderson Silva too, because Anderson Silva is a big inspiration, and like, I try to emulate some of the things he does. Obviously with
Hmm.
the push kicks. I mean, he throws flying knees. I mean, a lot of my game is kind of Anderson Silva, but at the same time, like Anthony Pettis, I like his Taekwondo kicks. I have just, there's just a lot of guys that I like to emulate certain things from their style and implement it in my game, which I'm sure everybody does that. Um, so I don't really have anybody too crazy that I would want to train with. I guess I can learn from anybody.
Right.
So it could be someone who's in the UFC for one or two fights, and if I can go learn from them, then I appreciate training with them, and that makes me want to go train with them more.
And as far as family and friends, or even anybody else for that matter, who is your biggest inspiration?
Man, my mom's, definitely a huge inspiration for me because, raising me as a single mother, never met my dad, so she had to do all the stuff that, a dad would do, play catch, when I played baseball, kick the soccer ball with me outside, any kind of sports I wanted to do, she always supported me. She never told me that I couldn't do anything, to like it was never no. Like, mom, I want to skateboard. She was like, okay, so she bought my first skateboard. You know what I mean? Like, she's always supported me from day one, whatever I wanted to do. And I just wanted the amount of money and time and the sacrifice she made to make my childhood better.
Right.
I want to be able to help her out, in her later years now, and make it easier on her, since she's, and try and pay her back.
So let me get this straight. Within the year or next year, when's that Beamer coming, man?
The Beamer, man. Well, I mean, if we get if we get 50 G's, the end of the year, who knows?
Nice, nice, man. Well, obviously it's tough as it is being a fighter and having all this pressure on you, and people hitting you up. Hey, I want to do this. I'd like to talk to you again. With such a busy schedule that I'm sure you have, I appreciate your time, and I want to thank you again for coming on. I wanted to keep this nice, short, and sweet, but again, congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all the success. I hope nothing but success for you. I'm
Appreciate
sure you're not going to disappoint people in the future, regardless. It's a learning process. Everybody knows that. But if you had to call somebody out for your next fight, who would it be?
it. Man, what's funny is so I had asked my agent beforehand because I was looking at names, right? I was trying to find out, who in the UFC featherweight division could I actually call out, and not even call out in like a disrespectful way. Just say like,
Right.
this would be
Just
a
throw
good
a
match.
name out there.
I think
Yeah.
it's a great fight. And so I had names in mind, and then my agent just told me, I asked him like, hey, do you have like some names? I have some people that I'm thinking about, for after the fight. And he was like, let's just get past this fight first. So I kind of just threw all those names out of my mind. So I don't even really know. I mean, there's some. there's some lower ranked featherweights, I guess, that I would be able to like try and call out. But the thing is, like, what my agent was telling me is I don't really have, I guess I don't really have any power in
Right.
who I want to fight. But maybe like, I don't know, Bruce Leroy. I think
Okay.
I like his style. I like his whole persona, because I like the Last Dragon. It's a great movie, and so he pulls the Bruce Leroy persona. I just like the way he fights, and I think that'd be a cool fight. But other than that, I have to really look, like, realistically, I probably won't get that fight because he's already. I think he just won a fight, and he's already way up. He's got like 23 fights in the UFC.
Right.
So I'll just have to keep looking through, or Sean Shelby. I'm sure will just throw me a name, and I'll probably have to just take it.
So what UFC card are you looking at? What's your schedule looking like?
So I'm thinking the fight in December. There's a couple of cards in December, either DC or Vegas. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay. Do you have any fights that you're looking forward to as far as pay-per-view or ESPN Plus cards?
No, not really. I mean, it would have been cool to do MSG,
Right.
November 7th, but I'm still dealing with some injuries, and then one of my coaches is out of the country for a month, so I can't really train without him.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how that would have been really cool. I think Vegas would be better for me, only because I've already fought in Vegas. I don't have to do any blood work or any like medical stuff because I've just fought there,
Yeah.
a week ago, and I just show up, make weight, and I already know how it is. I know the climate. I'm used to it already. I've already done it, and that would be cool, to make your debut in basically the home of the UFC, which is Vegas. You can go use the PI, run to the Apex and use the cage, So, and I can eat meals at the PI for free now. So that'd probably be ideal for me. I don't know about DC. I haven't been to DC since I was a little kid, so I don't really know what it's like over there anymore.
Nice, man. And I know that, again, we're talking with Aalon Cruz, who just recently won against Steven Nguyen at the Contender Series Week 6 with the flying knee knockout. Man, is there anything else you want to say to your fans? Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the people that are looking up to you right now who have been in similar positions? You've talked about your mother being a single mother, not knowing your father. I'm sure there's people or guys or girls out there that have been in a similar position and are trying to be where you are now. What do you say to those people right now that are watching?
Man, if you're like me, I guess, and you don't have a father to look up to, find, a good role model to, I guess, idolize, as you're coming up. Because I think that's one of the big things I was talking to somebody else about is that, when you get like, when people fall, it's so easy to follow the wrong person, right? If anybody gives you love or shows you some type of attention as like a male figure,
Right.
being a male, you can go down the wrong path very easily. So try to find a good role model and then stick with them. Just like finding a good mentor for whatever career you're trying to do. Also, just if whatever you're trying to do, like whatever goal you have set in your mind, just always focus on that goal and keep moving forward. If you just keep focusing on that goal and you put 100% into it, you'll probably hit that goal or you'll get close to it. Or like if you shoot what do they say? If you shoot, let's say if you're shooting for the moon, shoot past the moon. So shoot for Mars and you might hit the moon, as
Right.
opposed to shooting there and falling short. And then I appreciate everybody who's been supporting me, especially after this fight. I didn't really realize how many people watched the fight, and they're all support. Like I get messages from Germany, from Egypt, from Korea. Like it's crazy. And it's not like I'm doing anything special. I'm just lucky that now I'm able to start showing people what I think, or to express my own martial art, in the cage, and to be able to do it as a job. So I get to have my passion as my job. So I'm just lucky for that.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Aalon Cruz, giving us some love here at Neutral Corner MMA. Again, we appreciate your time. I know it's probably busy as far as your schedule goes, but but thanks again, man. And again, I wish you the best of luck in your future, and I hope we get to talk again prior to your next fight or after, whatever your schedule looks like. But I appreciate it, man, and nothing but the best for you.
Anytime, man. Thank you.
All right, take care of yourself, brother.
You as well.
Bye-bye.